Should people and students be worried about AI taking jobs?
If you're not worried about it, then you should actually be more worried.
When you were doing an MBA, it was almost a decade back. AI was non-existent, like it was not even in the picture. Now, to be in a leading AI role, do you think MBA was even relevant in your journey?
The best part when I spoke and knew about SDA Bocconi, how are they going to teach me? It had the same professors who were teaching in Italy and Milan.
What are the kind of roles that will become obsolete and what are the kind of roles that will become more important in the age of AI?
So my way of evaluating candidates have actually changed. For me, show me proof of work. What have you done?
3 or 4 tools that an MBA student should know before going into their program.
If you want to look, how do I make videos, video cloning, go ahead and try Hagen, right? And want to make presentation, you're doing and pitching it in your college or to your investors. Go ahead and use gamma.ai. I'll tell you some journeys on resources through which you can actually start learning without their complexity. The first one is deeplearning.ai.
How was your experience in the Italy campus? And second, do you think it's an advantage that you get once you get that global exposure?
I had a conversation with them after coming to India also. Hey, I'm looking to start something similar here. And they helped. So that's the kind of experience which actually makes your MBA much more valuable.
AI is a buzzword today and people are worried if their jobs will become irrelevant. Students are worried if their degree will become irrelevant. And today we have Akhilesh on the podcast. Akhilesh did his MBA almost a decade back from SDA Bocconi Asia Center when AI was not even in the picture. And today he is leading in an AI role. So we will discuss about his career, his MBA experience, his switch to AI, and most importantly, what can students do to navigate their career and become relevant in the age of AI. Thank you, Akhilesh, for taking out time. Before we start, first question.
Yes.
Should people and students be worried about AI taking jobs?
Yes, they should. If they are not worried, then.
I think this is not even a question now, right? Like probably a year back, it would have been a question if it will take jobs or not. But now it's not even a question, I'm pretty sure, for everyone. But I think at the end of the podcast, whatever we discuss, you can give some pathway at least, right? How they can stay relevant.
Absolutely, definitely. It's, like AI, if you're not worried about it, then you should actually be more worried, right? But if someone who can embrace it, yes, this is the way to it.
Great. So we'll start with your career actually, so that people come to know about it, and then we will deep dive into how students can stay relevant in this AI age. So please, if you can just briefly tell people what you currently do at Altir as Director of AI Solutions.
Yeah, so I have been like around 14 years of experience, worked across multiple domains and startups, right? Logistics, hyperlocal food delivery, fintech, waste management, sustainability across multiple domains. And then is when I transitioned into an AI role at Altir, where I'm a Director of AI Solutions. So my work is more about integrating AI agents and AI into the workflows of enterprises, so workflow automation. And it's a mix, very interesting role, a mix of product, strategy, and even hands-on. So me being hands-on into coding, it actually helps me to integrate all of them.
Right, that's interesting, being from an MBA background and then switching to this. But let's start from the beginning of your MBA journey. You started doing your MBA in 2012. It's a long time.
Yes.
Almost a decade now. But interestingly, you joined the first batch of SDA Bocconi Asia Center.
Yes.
What exactly was going in your mind that you were ready to take a bet on a new B school? But two things here actually. First, why did you decide to do an MBA? Why did you think that it's the right fit? And second, why did you choose a relatively new B school at that time?
I think good question. So let me answer the first one. Why did I why did I choose to do an MBA? I think that was always there in my mind right since the time I was doing my engineering. And right after my engineering in 2008, which was completely in mechanical and production, I did work at Bosch for quite a couple of years. And I was always interested that I was clear that I need to do my higher studies. And it was because I want to start something on my own. And I can't be restricted to only one place. And that was the very reason that I thought that, yes, I should do it. And why SDA? to be honest, like at that point in time, if someone is trying to select a new school, you should always be worried like you don't have placements, job, etc. But I think I have my dad who actually supported me and told me one thing, like you should always select where the college, the professors are good, the quality of education is good. Placements are not an indicator that it's a good college. That's not the only indicator, right? And that's the best part because that gave me a lot of clarity. And the best part when I spoke and knew about SDA Bocconi, how are they going to teach me? It had the same professors who were teaching in Italy and Milan. And imagine that the quality of the professors is not being compromised whether you study in India or abroad. Then I think when the education is not compromised or the quality of teaching is not compromised, it doesn't matter whether you study in India or in Milan, right? So I think that was a decision factor, and that's how I took that leap of hope that you can actually do it, because I was not worried about a job. I know I can crack it, but what I needed was the quality of education, and I did not want to compromise on it.
Nice. And it's very interesting because throughout your career then you have been more focused on the process rather than the outcome. If the process is right, and I can see that in your entire career trajectory, you have taken a lot of bets. This was probably the easiest one. If the audience doesn't know yet, this is probably the easiest one you would have taken because there are a lot of things coming up in your profile.
And to be honest, I think that is what helped me define that I was ready to take bets. And every time a different bet. It would not like repetitive. So yeah.
So we'll go there one by one, but after that I can see you interned at Tata Steel while you were here at SDA Bocconi. I think that got over. Then for a significant period you worked in operations. So can you just let the audience know what exactly is the work in operations, especially the work that you were doing at Swiggy and Zest Money?
So right after my MBA, right, I did my small stint of my own startup which wasn't working out, but then I joined Swiggy.
Okay, what was it, if you just want to highlight that?
So it's called Scooby. It's a small idea which I actually got inspired when I was in Milan. Okay, where I saw an idea, I said, okay, let's copy karte hain yahan pe. Let's try to do it. But after doing it, and to be honest, like I should appreciate that I was, in a way, my office space was SDA Bocconi College itself. So the director, I think, Alessandro was very generous. He said, no, till the time you figure out something, you work out of this. So even after the college, I actually was coming to college only as my office.
Okay, nice.
Right? So that was really helpful for them. Okay. But it was a simple idea where I had a book and I wanted to have advertisements and subsidize the cost of the book and make it available to the students for free. But once I knew it and started doing it, I realized the implications of it. Like what more capital intensive. And I did not have that capital to suffice over a longer period of time, and coordinating with multiple brands to ensure that they want to do an ad at the same time. And then I realized that why it is difficult in India and why it was possible in Italy, because there the newspaper is expensive. In India, newspaper is cheap. So people are ready to spend there where you have a reach. And there it was expensive. It's not subsidized by ads like in India. So that was a critical decision factor where I decided that, I think it's try to move out. Maybe at this point in time, I'm not ready for it.
Got it. And then you applied for jobs and you started.
Yeah, that's when I joined into Swiggy.
Okay, nice.
And at that time, Swiggy was nothing, like no one knew about it. So I was like fortunate to be like their first employee for launching Hyderabad business operations. So they just they launched their services in Bangalore in August 2014. And after that, they were experimenting there and they wanted to expand to different cities. So they launched Delhi and Hyderabad. And for Hyderabad is where I joined them as a first employee. And I must say that it's one of the best experiences because you work from scratch, like right from office space selection, internet connection, hiring delivery boys, doing a recce of hotels, where they are, and training them. And all of these things when there was no tech. Like people now, it looks very easy. Right? Just click a button and gets delivered.
You like to start your career at new places that are just building up, 0 to 1.
Yes, 0 to 1. And Rashma, it's very fun journey. I think maybe that's the kind of persona I had been, like which gels with that kind of style of working. It's fast paced and things change rapid dynamically. Okay. And that gives that high and kick in.
Okay, and after that, I think you worked in a couple of other places as well. Did a couple of year stints here and there. And then in 2024, that is very interesting, where you decided to take a career break and decided to explore AI, generative AI. So again, what was your thought process behind that? What was your thought process in taking that break, and what exactly were you doing during that tenure?
So, like till that time, till 2024, I would say that I have been mostly in the product, business, operations, mix of three. In a way, for most of the founders, I'm like, any work, just give it to him, it will be done. So I was not like a specialist, but more of a generalist who can understand everything and stitch things together. Now, that is how I have been brought up over the last 10 years when I was working in startups. So what happened is, like in 2023, I got into an Antler cohort in Singapore. So they reached out. I was surprised. Like, and they said, you know what, we do Antler. I was aware of it. It's a venture capitalist firm, and they select few people across the globe to be part of a cohort where they put you together and you have to come up with ideas. And if your idea gets clicked, they fund you to build that business as well. So I was saying it's a great opportunity. One is it's a different place. I need to go travel and be in Singapore for few months before experiment myself. And it was very interesting because I was there along with 80 other founders who wants to do something. And that's where I realized that everyone is speaking about AI. Till that time I was just a user of AI, like 2022 when the ChatGPT movement came of virality. So like, okay, I knew that it is very good. I can see. But once I went there, I realized that people are trying to build business out of it. There are so many things. I wasn't even aware of what is GPU at that point in time. And the business ideas were like, how do you do barter trading in GPU? I was like, okay. And till that time, I was thinking more about sustainability and other ideas.
This was in 2023?
2023, September, October. And that changed my perspective. When that international exposure gave me that, you know what, like there is a future in this. And I know, being from operations and product, where all this can fit in to solve problems. And that's when I decided to, once I'm back, I want to pursue it in a proper way so that I can get into an industry in AI which is dominated. And in 2024, January is when I decided to take up a course full-time only to work focused on artificial intelligence.
Okay, so it's a full-time course you took up and you decided to take a break as well.
Yes.
During that time. And you worked on multiple projects during that time. One of the projects that Tanmay Bhatt had talked about in a specific reel, I don't know if you have seen that, and many people would have seen that. That was kind of viral as well. But people might not remember your name.
Yeah.
It was you behind that project. So something related to Vodafone ZooZoo that you had done. It was a bit complicated, but if you can explain to the audience what exactly was that project that he was talking about.
So first thing is, that was a fun project. I wasn't even anticipating. It was that I was a fan of ZooZoo. Everyone would have been seen ZooZoo ads during the IPL times, right? And while I was learning, I was like getting, let me do something creative. And at that time, I was learning about fine tuning of an image generation model, and I just took ZooZoo images and fine tuned it, trained a model, and then just showcased it. And I made it open source. Like anyone can actually even now go and download the model and can try it out. And that got featured, as a part of their AI series, and it went viral and a lot of people actually saw that. So it's like bringing that old imaginations, though we miss ZooZoo, but you can now create your own ads with it.
Okay, so now we'll go into AI specifically, and obviously how students can take advantage of it, how they can stay relevant in this age. But before that, coming to obviously again your journey, when you were doing an MBA, it was almost a decade back. AI was non-existent, like it was not even in the picture.
Not even in the picture.
Right. So now to be in a leading AI role, do you think MBA was even relevant in your journey now?
One word answer, yes.
It was?
It was.
Okay, and now I want longer answer now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. See, what MBA gives you is a perspective. When we do assume, I come from engineering background as well, right? You learn one topic and that's it. But MBA gives you a broader perspective on how things work, how macroeconomics work. I'll tell you, like macroeconomics, I never knew it is so good unless I studied here, right? I think professors were so good, like macroeconomics is one fantastic subject. And you learn to connect the dots. And it's all about connecting the dots. And that's what I have realized, that if you can see my journey, like I was able to switch industries where many people struggle to even switch one industry, right? And that is because I think I learned that art of connecting the dots. How this industry to that industry, always well aware of how that industry works, how that business works. So you put me in logistics industry, I can understand how logistics work. You put me in fintech, I know understand how fintech works. Now this perspective you get because you do a MBA, right? There are two ways. I can always say that if you build your own startup, you may get it. You'll do your own phases of success, failure, and you'll find out. The other way is, if you're comfortable, do an MBA, get that experience, and you might be at a better stage to take wiser decisions, right? And it has actually helped me.
Okay, so you're saying because you understood processes in the businesses that you have worked, you understood their processes. Those business processes have basically aligned in your work, what you're doing now as well.
Absolutely.
And that kind of is where those two things are connected, kind of a bridge. That's interesting. And now let's come to the students aspect, what they have been waiting for as well, because at the start of the podcast, you certainly worried a lot of people that they should be worried about AI. So to start with, what do you think? What are the kind of roles that will become obsolete, and what are the kind of roles that will become more important in the age of AI?
AI as a product, it's a very powerful one, right? It can enable you, or it can make you very dumb, right? And so the kind of work which you do should be enablement a lot more. So for me, the kind of roles which I see might get challenged the most is like wherever it's like repetitive work, where you're not thinking a lot and just doing like data entry work, accounting, just doing entry work, just doing standard research by visiting websites, right? These are the kind of works, irrespective of which industry or domain you are, will get impacted, right? And the kind of works which will there is where you have to take more judgment, decisions, right? So the grunt work will be done by AI, but at the end it's a human who needs to take decision, right? Whether the advice which is given by AI or the report which is given by AI, is it right or wrong? Think of AI as an intern, like a smarter intern which you got, but you need to guide it, otherwise it will go in the direction which it wants. So not give autonomy completely, but it's more about controlling it, but you know that it is smarter and can do better work. So those are the kind of works which would be still relevant.
So if I have to talk about a specific career, say coding, do you think that coders can be replaced?
If you say yes, coders are not like completely replaced, but that is a profession which would get impacted a lot in case you're only doing is learning the language and then doing the part of it. But a software engineering, like where you're trying to connect the dots, because coding is just small aspect of it, it's about architecture, design. Those are not going to go away easily. That would still be existing.
Okay, and for say a role like consulting?
For a role like consulting, like when you're just doing an entry level job, it's more about searching this report, do that, collate data and do it. That might get impacted, or you may be powered to do it better. But at the end, if you give 10 decisions, which is the right decision to be suggested to a company, that is still going to be existing, because at the end, the products which you're buying or selling are also being bought by humans, right? And if you're relying completely on AI, then 100 companies in the space would also be relying on AI. You'll not be differentiating yourself. So your company, your product, you know better. You just use it as an advisor, or not even like an advisor, like someone who can just give you suggestions, but you should take the call.
Understood. So it's more like a lot of entry-level grunt work that consultants used to start with, PPT, research, and then helping their middle management make decisions. I think a lot of that will go, and from the very start, you would be acting like a middle manager itself, where AI is basically your research analyst, and you are acting as the consultant or the manager.
Absolutely. I think, I'm not sure, but I heard it in one of the statements by one of the, AI guys, etc., is that most of that work will be more about decision making rather than just doing some work, right? You have a team of agents, you need to decide every time what is right, what is wrong. So as an individual, the most important skill which you would actually need is ability to take right decision, right? When there are so many options which are given to you. Now that is a skill which you should pursue.
Okay, but how can a student learn it, stay relevant in this age? Because a lot of these decision making skills and stuff we learned in our early careers when we were doing the grunt work. We saw our seniors doing it, and now at the very start of our career, a student would require these skills. So, what do you think are the skills, are the things that will keep a student relevant in today's age?
So, like when we were doing our MBA, etc., the biggest thing was that even if you want to experiment, the cost of experimentation was more. The cost of failure was more. There has never been a time that the cost of failure is so less and the cost of experimentation is easy, right? Even with $100, you can actually launch a product company and you can learn much more. So, like I would say that people, if you're serious, you should build. Whether it passes, fails, do more hands-on experiments. You will learn a lot. So whatever concepts you're learning in your subject, etc., apply it right away. We were used to learning case studies. I think now it's about do and study, right? So you do it and you can real time implement it. It's not difficult. The cost of experiment is cheap and you will learn a lot more, and that's how you'll be able to learn like when to use an AI, when not to use an AI. How do you build that judgmental skills before even passing out of your MBA or before even graduating and getting into a job? You would have done and failed multiple times by then because you're doing real work, not some random case studies, right? So that's where I think you would actually learn a lot about these skills and decision making skills.
Okay, that's an interesting take because it feels like now in an MBA program, almost you are an entry level employee. What you were doing as an entry level employee, you can start doing in your MBA program itself or any other degree as well. You can start experimenting with those things while studying because the cost of experimentation is less. You can spend time studying as well as building certain things on the side because it's obviously enabled by AI now.
Absolutely. And you don't need a big team as well. Like, most of the times in case studies, you form a team of 2 or 3. Right? And that is how you try to solve a problem. With AI, you can actually form of 2 and 3 can start a company.
Right.
It's not difficult. And the rest are what you can leverage tools to do it. So, what else is a better way to just get hands-on? You are actually running a company, take a project, build it over the next 1 year. See it fail or pass, doesn't matter, right? But you will learn a lot more to ensure that it gets success. You will see how to pivot, why to pivot, what are the kind of discussions you are happening in a team, what kind of arguments you are doing. It will tune you to be a very good professional manager kind of a role before you pass out of the MBA.
Got it. And suppose I'm a complete beginner in AI. I don't know anything about AI. Like you said, you took a career break as well. So suppose I don't know anything as a student about AI, irrespective of the domain that I come from. What do you think? Where should I start? And how should I build my AI knowledge, irrespective of the domain that I come from?
To be honest, like many of them are worried, like, where do I start? Should I pay hefty fees? What it is? But I'll tell you some journeys on resources through which you can actually start learning without that complexity. The first one is deeplearning.ai. It's built by Andrew Ng, who is is famous in AI space, and you have fantastic content. Most of the courses are free of cost, and they are taught by the founders of the companies, not just anyone else randomly. So it's great content. You can go ahead and start with basics of generative AI. It's a free course. Go ahead, learn it. You'll understand what is AI. The next thing is you have a very good open source website called promptingguide.ai. What is prompt engineering? Different types of prompt engineering. What is chain of thought, tree of thoughts, multiple other aspects of prompt engineering. You would learn about it. Not only that, they give you exercises that you can do it. Right? So once you do these two, understand now like what is AI, what is the potential of it, etc. Start implementing it. Maybe just you have an idea, go ahead to Replit, Immersion, any of them, and just go ahead and prompt that I need a website for this idea, and see what it gives you as an output. Right? Make it live, share it with your friends, see what they're giving you as a feedback. You did not like it, see what you can prompt it to improve it. Hands-on, you cannot learn AI by reading it, but by doing it. That's the only way to learn about AI. And this is one part of the journey, right? You have multiple other aspects of it. Now, once you have website live, how do you write a marketing content? Go to ChatGPT, Gemini. If you want to look, how do I make videos? video cloning, go ahead and try Hagen, right? And want to make presentation, you're doing and pitching it in your college or to your investors, go ahead and use gamma.ai.
And it's very difficult as well to keep a note of every week there's something coming out which is better than the previous tool.
Absolutely. I think that is why I actually run a blog to make people aware of it. Okay. It's called thetoolnerd.com, in which I actually take that pain of evaluating different tools and writing about it, how the industry is changing, my perspectives, and also have a specific directory for people to search what are the different tools which are coming out.
Nice. So I think the people can go and keep reading about it so that before they go for an MBA program or any other degree, they know what are the tools that they can learn about.
Absolutely. And I have actually a section called dedicated roadmap for beginners,
okay,
in which it's a 3 to 4 part series where you will know in first week what you need to learn, second week what you need to learn, third week what you need to learn. The complete references. I don't have to create a course. Many things are there. I just tailored it accordingly so that anyone can actually begin their journey.
Nice. So now we know that, okay, where should a person start, how they should basically upskill themselves in the space of AI, what are the tools they can think about learning. And I think after that, a lot of that will come in the domain space. Like once you enter a specific domain, then you would understand better, okay, what are the exact kind of tools and what are the exact kind of things you need to upskill yourself in that particular domain. I think it will happen later, but fundamentally what you mentioned is initial start that someone can.
Exactly. All the products and tools are derivatives of your business and domain, right? They're tailor-made for that. You should understand the fundamentals of how LLM works, how AI works, how can you connect those dots. And that is what will help you define. It doesn't matter tomorrow comes another tool or doesn't come. You can actually build your own tools.
Okay.
If you are very familiar and experiment with Immersion and Lovable or Replit, tomorrow you can actually build your own tools. You don't have to take from anywhere, right? Nice. And that's it. And it will adapt to your workflow and your style. And for that you need domain expertise.
Nice. And there's another thing happening because of AI. The differentiation between two candidates, the knowledge gap has reduced, because yes, that both the candidates, one who has studied a lot, one who has not studied a lot, the knowledge gap has kind of reduced because AI is kind of bringing people on a similar level. If you come to a campus to hire candidates, what would you see? What would you look for in a student?
The people who are learning, just for the sake, and there are people who are doers. Okay. So my way of evaluating candidates have actually changed. For me, show me proof of work. What have you done?
Right.
And that gives me confidence. And then you ask questions. Did you do it? Or is it just a copy-paste work of anywhere? Right? Nice. And they can actually ask you ask them questions, they would be able to give you the answers. Right? Who has actually done it. And at this point, when I try to hire, I actually want to hire someone who's passionate about the work what he's doing. Because if he's not passionate, he would be doing a mediocre work. And mediocre work can anyways be done by AI.
Yeah.
So if you want to beat AI, you should be better than AI in that game. And for that, you should be really mad or passionate about that work, whatever you're doing or whatever you're learning. Right? And that, for sure, if today AI is better, but tomorrow you will be better than them.
Very interesting. So I think it's kind of a level playing field now for people in terms of knowledge gap. But yeah, you can also do a lot more things. You can build things, and that can become a proof of your work much before you have started working anywhere. So I think that's interesting that now people need to put that extra effort. I believe students need to put that extra effort as well. Yes, it has got easier to put that extra effort, but still they need to do that. They cannot just wait at that stage where they have learned a concept, especially when we completed our MBA probably, we learned a concept and that was it. But beyond that, applying it to real life projects, to real life scenarios, it's possible these days as a one-member team to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. No doubt about that.
Okay, nice. So just coming out of topic, are you in also touch with your batchmates from SDA Bocconi?
Yes, I am in touch with a few of them.
Okay, and what are they doing? Like, specifically, I want to know after a decade, what do people do after an MBA program? Because you are one of the examples shifted completely from MBA to AI. Do you know people? What are they doing in their career? What kind of profile designations they are in?
Yes, I have 2 to 3 of them are founders, running their own company.
Okay.
And couple of, one or two of them are in venture capitalist firms.
Okay, so kind of traditional jobs as well, and they have some of them have started their own companies too. But how do you define success at this stage of your career after a decade of working? Is it money that's success? Is it the role, designation, or something else?
I think you'd have heard this quote multiple times. It's not just about success is not a milestone to be reached, but it's a journey. I completely agree with that. And success is different for every individual, right? Your definition of success and my definition of success might be different. But one thing at least from my experience, I would say that initially you may be looking for money, which you would do, but eventually you would need a purpose. Right? Are you enjoying that game or not? Are you enjoying it or not? And I think after some time, when your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, your basic needs are done, you're happy with what you are, then you are looking for a better purpose, right? And to find a better purpose, you need to be actually doing what you love, right? Or where you think that you can actually be good at. And I think that is where it will eventually be.
Okay, and do you think business schools today are moving as fast as they should, because AI is changing really fast? Do you think the business schools, or for that matter any other college as well, do you think they are keeping pace with AI?
So for me, to be honest, I'm not aware of this much of the things. It's been a while that I've passed out. But at least, I haven't met many MBA guys, but I've been meeting many engineering guys who are trying to look for jobs. But I don't see that the colleges are putting effort, or very few colleges who are putting that effort. And most of the students are putting their own effort to do it. And I see they have succeed also. But that percentage is few. But I think there's no option, rather that you have to, embrace AI, and every college has to include that as a part of the curriculum.
Right, so it's kind of coming from the student, and I think at this point at least it's driven by the student, but probably yes, at some point in time the institutions have to gravitate towards AI and realize that it's not something that they can do away with.
Absolutely.
Okay, and during your time at SDA Bocconi Asia Center, and your MBA experience also we want to talk about, because it's long back to 2012, 2014. You graduated. So did you have an international immersion as well?
Yes.
At Italy campus.
Yes.
And I really want to understand this, because you have been to Italy. You mentioned about Singapore, being at Singapore, where you got to know a lot of things which probably would have been difficult in India. Do you think having that leverage from the Italy campus kind of gives you that kind of an exposure, global exposure, that you can be at the forefront of what's happening globally? How was your experience in the Italy campus? And second, do you think it's an advantage that you get once you get that global exposure?
So in one word, yes. It made quite a big difference in my life. And that experience itself was completely different. You were studying in a top college. You had people coming from across the globe, different countries. And I actually learned a lot about, how each person there who's coming from different countries have the different skills, right? And that made me appreciate what they do. Like, for example, people who are coming from Italy in general, man, they have fantastic design aesthetic. Their taste is so good, right? And some of them are pretty good with analytics if they're from in India. Normally when people go, no, they're not good at the design aspect, but they're very good at that analytical aspect, right? And some of them are very much systematic process, and some of them are like random, go chill, and at the moment kind of a thing, impromptu.
Right.
So these are different people you meet, and you actually understand how to gel with them and how to understand them. It made a big difference. To be honest, like in the earlier part of the podcast, I told that I started something which is inspired by my experience in Milan. Right? If I also met the founders there when I was there, right? And I had a conversation with them after coming to India also. Hey, I'm looking to start something similar here, and they helped. So that's the kind of experience which actually makes your MBA much more valuable,
Okay, because it's mandatory for SDA Bocconi, but a lot of B schools it's not mandatory. It's not compulsory that you. It's kind of optional that you can choose to go for an international immersion or you can opt out as well. So you would recommend people to choose that
I would
option.
recommend for sure. It's an experience for sure. You would cherish for a long time about it.
Okay, so and during your time, what was the selection process like for SDA Bocconi?
So I think we were lucky a bit, right?
Yeah,
And
because it was the first
because
batch.
of the first batch, right? So it was based on our GMAT score and an interview, right? They had their own SDA Bocconi test as well. So
Yeah.
few of them who did not write GMAT or anything, they were able to get through that, and I was through GMAT, and it was great. I think it was interview and then got in.
Nice. I think very similar process these days as well that they have. Probably it's got a little
Bit
bit more
tougher.
difficult because of the competition, and now that it's established, obviously. And so, what advice would you give someone, probably the next batch of students coming to SDA Bocconi?
You know, like, so what you get in SDA Bocconi is access to good quality faculty, right? And the knowledge. And that is something you should always go for in a college. You know, like you will learn that. And the apart from is that if you want to build your MBA career, I think it's more about doing now rather than only theoretical aspect of it. You learn the theory and everything, but you need to apply it, and you need to apply it fast and fail fast. You know, like you need to apply it on a daily basis, experiment it, and by the time you graduate, build some proof of work, not some presentations just for it, but build a real proof of work. It doesn't matter it fails. I think people have come out of that mentality generally in hiring that this guy did and failed. That's not the criteria. Now I look, if that guy did not fail at all, I'm really worried because he did not try only anything, right? I want people who have tried, failed, it doesn't matter. But if you have not done anything, then it's a gray, you know, like a red flag for me to consider that guy or not.
Nice. And I think that's probably the most important takeaway of this podcast as well, that now students cannot just go with the learning. They have to show proof of work. It has got easier to do things, to build things. And if you are not doing it, the others would be doing it for
Yes.
sure. And I think that's the reason that you need to put that extra effort and start building things, because it's got easier now. It is possible while studying to build things, and that is something a recruiter would definitely want to see.
So I'll tell one personal aspect here. So, you know, like to move from a product role into an AI role, right? It takes time. You know, you're actually trying to change your domain and position yourself differently. And it takes effort. It's not that in one day you get it, right? People call me and ask me, hey, I want to get into this next AI role, help me out. But what it is, like, I transitioned, but it took me 2 years, right? So I started in 2024 by learning, then applying, then writing blogs, then evaluating tools to build that competence that I can actually get into a role of AI. And it takes time. And that proof of work is available for everyone to actually see it. And I actually also did a challenge where every day I had post what I had learned for consistently for 100 days. You know, that consistency also played off. So perseverance, consistency, when you are trying to shift, etc., actually and build proof of work is actually what make you different from 100 other applicants who are looking for a same role.
Yeah, and I think your story is great to understand that how the different processes, the business processes that you had knowledge about after your MBA program and through the companies where you had worked, then you applied it to AI, then you learned AI, and then applied it to the same processes to basically build your portfolio. And I think that is what definitely helped you switch from MBA to AI without any tech background or knowing anything about coding or having studied about coding in the past.
Yeah. So now I position I am a builder, you know, not just a coder, but I'm a builder. So I know what to build, how to get things done, right? That's how I position myself more.
Nice. So you are in Mumbai for the leadership summit. After a decade, how does it feel to come back to campus?
So it's really nostalgic feeling, you know, seeing my old classes, remembering, you know, what we were doing there, the library where we were studying. We know many nights we actually slept here, doing our case studies and assignments. So it's a really good memory.
Nice. So thank you so much, Akhilesh, for doing this. I'm pretty sure the students, the audience would learn a lot out of it, because it's definitely, AI is a buzzword. People are worried about AI taking the job roles, but it is also kind of an enabler. The conversation that we had, it is also kind of an enabler which will enable people to do more things. So someone who was there learning things now can apply it, as you mentioned it a couple of times. They can fail multiple times, then try and fail multiple times, and that's basically their proof of work. It's also kind of acting as an enabler now. So yes, it's worrisome for some people, but there's also something positive about it. So
Absolutely. And I think one thing I suggest is that, try to pursue for the best. Like whatever you're trying to do the best in it. If you are average, then it will be difficult. But if you are the best, you are really gonna be succeed like anything. People now need best people. There's never been a time like that. Most of the time, like in hiring in bigger companies, you take some normal people only because the work is so, lower level of work. There you don't have to think kind of a work. That's not the case now. That work will be taken up by AI. But if you are doing a fantastic job, you love that work, what you are doing. It doesn't matter if it's finance or accounting, but you should be the best accountant in the world, right? If you pursue for it, I don't think these guys will ever be replaced with AI.
got it. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks a lot for inviting me and making me a part of this. Thanks a lot.